Hello, my name is cjrhen, and today I'm going to show you how to import a music XML file from Finale or Sibelius and open it up in Dorico and get it formatted and working the way we want it to work. Quick note, this video is not directly a part of my Dorico for Jazz Arranger series, just because it's a little more general and I feel like it can help absolutely anyone trying to make the transition. Also, I'm just immensely grateful for the amount of support I'm getting. I've always wanted to make YouTube videos since I was a kid, and I could never find my niche online until I really started teaching private lessons and teaching classes at West Virginia University, and now I get to share that knowledge with all of you on YouTube. So to get started, I have a music XML file from version 27 of Finale, and it must be version 27 to have the music XML 4.0 support, and this file was provided to me by an established composer who can't show his name on the score because of his rules from his publisher. So to get started, we first need to understand one foundational concept if you already tried to import some music XML and had some weird issues. So inherently, music XML by default in Dorico is really just meant to import raw note data from Cubase and let you format it and transform it into beautiful parts, such as for film scores, which for a lot of people get written in the DAW and not in the notation software. But don't worry, because we can set some settings within Dorico to make it read the music XML file as if it is a fully formatted score, which will get us closer to the result we're looking for. To configure those settings, open up Dorico and you'll notice that the start page comes up, and we have to access the program preferences for this. And for Windows users, you're going to go up to this toolbar up here, the menu bar, and we're going to click edit, and we're going to go to preferences, which is down at the bottom of that drop down dialog. For my Mac users, that's going to be all the way at the top of your screen where you see all your different options such as edit, view, play, library. You're going to click Dorico, and then within that subdirectory you will see preferences. So once we're in here, everything is the same for Windows and Mac. We're going to look for the option that says Music XML Import, and we're going to select it. Once we're in here, you'll see a whole bunch of different options that are unchecked that we need to be checking for most of our scores that we're importing. Follow along with me. We're going to select note durations. We're going to check stem directions, check tie placement and appearance. Beam group should already be checked. If you need to check accidental visibility, this will basically set to show or hide your accidentals as it was set. Check that. Otherwise, Dorico will automatically redraw your courtesy accidentals as it sees fit. And then for articulation placement, that should already be set. And for tuplet placement and bracket visibility, keep that checked. Moving on, you see we have a drop down for advanced options, and this isn't necessarily anything we need to check, but if you end up having problem with your different tuplets that you may have put in your score, check that because it might help import them correctly. Scroll down to rest, and just like we were doing, we need to be checking these so we get the closest representation to your Finale file. So go ahead and check rest durations and check rest positions. Continuing onward, let's go to other notations and let's make sure dynamic placements are checked. Glissando line, style, and text is checked. Slur direction should be checked. Text items and importing the font should be checked. You don't necessarily have to import the font because we can set that separately in Dorico, and personally I like the font styles that Dorico offers to us, so that's up to you. Full disclosure, I had to Google how to say this, and it is laissez vibrer or something like that, and this is an open-ended tie, and in Finale and Sibelius you can just click tie and it won't tie to anything, but in Dorico they have a specific tie for that action. So you only need to check that if you created special types of ties that were not just the regular tie command. If you input open-ended ties in Finale, which is a tie that just says let your note ring, do not check that. That way Dorico will see those ties and convert them to the right type of element. So simply, you're probably not checking that. For figured bass appearance, if you're importing anything with figured bass, this basically tells it to interpret it directly and not try to convert it to an actual element, which will change its position. This could be if you move them around custom after you import them with your mouse. Keep import other technical playing techniques checked. It probably won't come up unless you're doing some more contemporary type of work. For me as a jazz composer, this typically just doesn't show up that often when I'm importing music XMLs. And for ambiguous arpeggio lines span all staves, this basically means if you had an arpeggio line from your bass clef to your treble clef, such as on a grand staff, and you made it look like it was one arpeggio line across both staves, this will try to figure it out and automatically make it a multi-staff arpeggio line. So you only need to check that if that applies to you. So now we're going to scroll all the way to the bottom and go to advanced options, and this option is when notation and tablature are both encoded as separate parts we want to combine into a single player, copy strings and tuning, or import independently. The way Dorico works is you can actually create tablature from your notes, and you can hide or show either the note staff or the tablature, and it's honestly really flexible and easy to work with. I recommend combining it into a single player, but if you need to keep them separate, keep them separate, and then copy strings and tuning, you can experiment with that setting if you're not getting the results you want. So now that we're done with that, go ahead and make sure you click apply so all these settings are applied to your next music XML import. Go ahead and close out of this preferences window, and we're going to go ahead and open a project instead of creating a new project. Come up here and click file, and if you are on a Mac, you have to go all the way up to your system toolbar at the top of the screen, and we're going to go to open. Once you've clicked file open, navigate to the music XML file you want to open. In this case, I'm going to be looking at a music XML file originally made in Finale of Born to Run, and you can see it says .mxl, which is our file extension, and the type says music XML file. Select it, and we're going to click open. Once your project is open, you're going to notice that it's actually getting pretty close, especially in regards to how our notes look, and that's because we did that setup in the preferences to import our music XML following some rules. So let me show you what the original score looks like exported from Finale. Notice it's obviously just a lot cleaner, and that's because it has all the formatting applied to it, and that's really what gets lost with our music XML import. You can almost think of that difference as a music XML file being a text file, which obviously has raw text and it has your periods and question marks and quotation marks, but it's not like a Word doc that has all the nice formatting applied to it. It's just the raw data, and that raw data in this case is the notes, the articulation, the dynamics, and the other basic musical elements. All we have to do is fix our page in Dorico to match that formatting. First things first, we need to save this file, so go ahead, click File Save, Control S, or on Mac, Command S, and just save this as a Dorico file so we can actually start editing and save our edits as we move along. So immediately on this score, you'll see a bunch of red X's, and I think it's very important we understand why that's happening, and that's because of this concept I keep talking about in my videos, that Sibelius and Finale are really softwares based around doing back-end workarounds to make things look the way you want. This is different than Dorico, which really likes to follow rigid rules because there's always a way to do something a proper way. My biggest example I have of this is I used to use Sibelius, and there was honestly no good way to do drum cues. Making drum cues was the worst thing ever, and it would constantly mess up my parts, move things around, or mess with my voices. But in Dorico, they actually have a cue system, and it automatically draws the cue as a separate type of entity on top of my staff, and it wouldn't interfere with what I already have written. What I had to end up doing in Sibelius to make it work as well as it worked in Dorico was I had to use third-party plugins, and these third-party plugins just don't do things by the book. So when you go to export music XML of those files, they are a mess because they're not actually correct on the staff. Oftentimes, anytime you use a third-party plugin in Finale or Sibelius, it's really going against the original developer's intents, and it's going to make some compatibility issues with music XML files. So what I found is these red X's now showing up on this music XML file are actually the result of a sketchy workaround that is messing up the presentation of this music XML file. What happened is if you look at the PDF, you'll see that there is a large time signature there, but in Dorico, we're only getting on one staff. That's because in Finale, the user actually hit hit it on the other staves, which messed up how it's being drawn in the music XML file, and then they only showed it in one. But they didn't just hide them, they're actually systematically deleted in the music XML file. Let's go ahead and let's resolve this issue, and I think it's important I work through solving an issue. That way you might get some insight into solving your own problems when you're importing your scores through music XML. Also, quick note, these red X's are called signposts, which are just system elements that don't actually show up when you print your score in Dorico. You can show and hide them by coming up to view and going to signposts and clicking hide signposts, but generally when we're working in the score, editing, or engraving, we want to have them enabled so we can see what the computer is basically actually thinking in the background. What I figured out with a little bit of investigation is that these red X's are actually the absence of a time signature, but in Dorico, having no time signature means there's still an element that means no time signature. If you look at the staff that actually has the time signature on it, there are no red X's because it knows it's in 4.4, but the other staffs don't. They're just conforming to this one being in 4.4 right now. And remember, this happened because the user did something that was technically a workaround either directly or through a third-party plugin, and now it's causing issues with our music XML. So to resolve this, all we have to do is delete the red X's, and unfortunately, it's kind of a pain in the butt. What I found is you can select one, and if you click Control-Shift-A or Command-Shift-A, it will select all the elements, but because of the weird drawing error happening with this, even if I delete those elements, it doesn't delete all of them at once. So we just have to repeat this process a couple times, and I will do that in a time lapse till all the red X's are gone. I plan on finding a more elegant solution to delete all the elements when they're just being a little difficult. I plan on writing a script, especially since I plan to offer services to convert music XML to Dorico files as a side hustle. With all the red X's gone, you'll notice that there are no bar lines on the stabs that had the red X's, and that's because they never truly had a time signature. To fix this, all we have to do is pick all our stabs all at once, come over to our right hand side toolbar, go to panels, find the time signature section, and click 4.4 down here in common. And all our bars are all fixed, and we can move on with formatting. Our goal with formatting is to get our Dorico project, which you can see here on the left, match our exported score from Finale, which you can see here on the right. The first difference I notice is the staff labels, which is appearing at the beginning, and then the abbreviated staff labels occurring later on in the score. To achieve that in Dorico, open the layout options by clicking Control-Shift-L on your keyboard. That's Command-Shift-L for Mac users. Go to the search categories and type label, and you will find staff labels and pick it. Within our staff label settings, we need to show the full label on the first system, and a system is referring to a span of bars going across a page. That means our staff labels on first system are full, and staff labels on the subsequent systems are going to be abbreviated. Click Apply once you have those selected. Also, close out of the layout options. The next difference I'm noticing is the Let's Rock is supposed to be in front of our tempo. To achieve that in Dorico, we can actually just put text directly on our tempo. So let's just zoom in, find our tempo, double click it, and then click the arrow key to the left to get before all the text, before the cue, and we're going to type Let's Rock and click enter. Notice this automatically formatted the Let's Rock to be bold, just like our Finale score. Select the old Let's Rock text that we no longer need and delete it. Examining the exported score from Finale, I'm noticing there are bar numbers under each bar and centered under each bar. To achieve that in Dorico, we're going to go back to those layout options we were already using for the staff labels with Control-Shift-L or Command-Shift-L for Mac users. In the search categories, type bar for bar numbers and click it. Once we're in our bar number settings, there's a couple options, and notice on the score provided to us, it is under every single bar. So we're going to just simply click every bar and click apply. If we look at our Dorico score, you can see they're not where we want them to be. So now we have to play with some of our settings under bar numbers to achieve the same look. Digging into these settings, we can set our horizontal position, click centered on bar and click apply. That will automatically move that bar number to be in between our bar lines and centered on the bar. Our placement on the provided score is under the staff, so if you scroll down just a little bit to placement, you'll see show above top staff of a system or below top staff. Uncheck show above top staff and check below top staff and click apply. Examining our Dorico project, you'll notice there is no bar number under the first bar. To change that, come back to our layout options and scroll down to where we see showing and hiding. Find the option that says show first bar number when shown every bar. Check it, click apply, and close the layout options. The next thing we need to match is actually having the composer on our page, and to do that we just have to set our global project info. Once you set the global project info once for your project, it'll automatically apply it to every score and part you create within that project. To access that, go up to File and click Project Info. You can also access that by clicking Control I or Command I for Mac users. It will pull up this window and we have a bunch of different options for different contributors to a score. Let's go to Composer, and in this case, it is Bruce Springsteen. So type Bruce Springsteen in the composer spot. Once that is done, go ahead and close out of the project info window and let's change our score into transpose pitch instead of concert pitch. This is extremely easy on Dorico 5. Just go down to the bottom toolbar and click transpose pitch. Now to replicate having the one large time signature, which is what actually caused the import issue with our music XML file, we just have to adjust something in our layout options, but also add this bracket, which is showing in the exported score that is not currently showing there in our Dorico score. First, let's reopen our layout options with Control-Shift-L or Command-Shift-L for my Mac users. Look for time signatures. You can type it in the search or you can just look for it. And within this, let's make sure our time signature position and size are set to show once per bracket. Let's also scroll down to time signature design and let's select something that resembles the exported finale score a little more, such as this narrow sans serif. Click apply and close out of the layout options. If we zoom in a little on our first measure here, you can see we now have skinny time signatures on every staff. That is because we don't have that bracket that is shown to us in the exported finale score. To adjust that, let's go to engrave and show the toolbar on the left with this button up here. Once we see our page formatting options, you will notice there is a bracketing option, but we can't select anything just yet. What we have to do is select our first note in trumpet 1 and then hold Control or Command for Mac users and select our first note in tuba, and now we can select a bracket to draw between all the staffs in that range. Let's insert the one that matches our exported finale score. Let's select the one that matches our export finale score, and notice we now have a bracket with a large time signature that looks really similar and maybe even a little better than our other score. While we are working with brackets, let's add the bracket that is shown between trumpet 1 and trumpet 2 in this document over here. Select the first note of trumpet 1 in your Dorico score and hold Control or hold Command and click the first note in trumpet 2 and go over to your brackets, and you will see next to the one we already selected there are sub brackets. Let's click the first sub bracket to draw that between our trumpets, and now we have something that looks identical or better than our exported finale score. The next difference we need to adjust is our rehearsal markers are double bar lines, but also our bar spacing and bar breaks on the page. There's no particular order to do that in, but I'm actually going to do the double bar lines first because I think it'll help me identify where to put everything else later. To do that, let's go back to the right page, as that's where we adjust musical elements and not page elements. And once we're here, we need to find that bar line to put our double bar line. line. We're lucky with this music XML import, we actually have the rehearsal markers that I didn't notice already put in, so this makes it super easy. First, let's find the bar line under rehearsal marker 9, and for this one, notice it's at the start of a system, so we're actually going to select the bar line on the previous system, as that bar line is connected to that rehearsal marker. Bring your mouse over to our right side toolbar of Dorico and click Panels. Look for the symbol that looks like the ending bar line of a staff. Select it, and now we have access to all our bar lines. With the correct bar line selected for the first rehearsal marker, find the double bar line in this toolbox and select it. Now we just have to repeat this process for all our other rehearsal markers, and I will do it in a time lapse really quickly. Next, we have to adjust how many bars are in a system and how many bars are showing on a page. Go back to the first page, and now we have to switch to the engrave tab up here. Select engrave, and now we can see our options we were working with before, including bracketing. We're going to be working with format systems. So let's look at our exported finale score, and notice we have 6 bars in the first system, as Dorico calls them. Come back to our Dorico score, and we're going to find bar 6, which is here. Select the bar line immediately after bar 6, and we will click system break, which moves bar 7 down to the next line. The only problem with that now is we want to have bar 5 and 6 in line with bars 1 through 4. To do that, select the bar line we already put that system break on, and we're going to select something from the first bar we want to include in this system. Select any note while holding Control or Command to make a second selection. With both of those selections made, come back over to Format Systems and click Make into System. Now we just need to repeat that pattern of creating system breaks and making things into system to get it to match our exported score from Finale. Go ahead and watch me do this in a time lapse. The one big discrepancy you are noticing now is there's only 3 systems on the exported finale page, where there are 4 on our Dorico page right now. To change that, just find where we need there to be a new page, which occurs at bar 19 on our exported finale score. Select the first note of that, and instead of using format systems, we're going to do a format music frames. Music frames are referring to pages. So go ahead and select create frame break while that note is selected, and let's zoom out and see our score, and notice it's very similar to our finale page, and some of the bar spacing and note spacing even looks a little better in my opinion. The next element that needs changed is adding the score label after our title on the second page. The way you do this in Dorico is you have a first page layout, which you can see over here, and we also have a default page layout. Our first page is quite literally our first page, and our default is any page that occurs after that, so we can make all our subsequent pages have a uniform layout. This concept of a first page layout and a default page layout also is applied to our parts. You can see that with default part, and once you set it once for default part, it applies to all parts automatically. To continue editing our score, make sure we have our current set to default score. Let's double click the default page, which opens our layout editor. Zoom in so we can see at flow title at, and those are in brackets. This is basically a system call that inputs whatever text it is referencing, and in this case the flow title is the title that was set in those project info dialogues that we were looking at earlier when we were editing the composer. To edit this, let's double click this text box, click space, put a dash, click space again, and now we have to put in the correct system call to put the layout name. This is pretty simple, and you can find those all online. For us, we're going to put an open curly bracket and at symbol to initiate the system call, and we're going to put layout name. We're going to put an at in a closed curly bracket. Once that is done, make sure this applied to the other page. The reason there's 2 pages is because one page is if it's oriented to one side of a book layout, and the other one is oriented to the other side. Hence why we have a copy left to right and right to left option. The only reason we aren't clicking those right now is because we want our page number to stay stay on the correct side of our booklet. Click apply and close this, and if you look at your second page, you will notice it now says born to run full score. Since we used the system call for our score name, it put full score because that's actually the name of our layout. We can simply change that to just score by going to setup and coming to the layouts toolbar over here. If it's not showing, you might have to click this arrow to expand it. Let's right click that and click rename, and we're just going to type score as it's presented to us in that Finale export. You can see that immediately reflected here on the second page. Let's go back to the engrave tab because we have one more thing to add to the score to make it in full parity to our Finale export. Within this engrave tab and looking at our first page of our Finale export, notice that it says score in the top left corner, but it does not say that on ours. To change that, we have to be editing that page template, much like we did for the second page in the default page template. Now we're going to be adjusting our first page template. Bring your mouse down to the page template window, and in case this isn't showing, you have to click this arrow to bring out all these different tools. Double click the first page template and it brings us to our layout editor. Let's zoom in and look at our first page and notice that there's nothing up there in our left corner yet to even add the text. What we have to do is insert a text frame, so bring your mouse over to the left hand side toolbar and make sure it's showing. If it's not already, find the one with a T in it, as that's a text frame, and let's pick it and let's draw one just in the middle of the page for now. Double click it, and we have to put the layout name as we had already put it on our second page. That's going to be open curly bracket at layout name, all one word, with an at and a close curly bracket. Click out of that box and zoom in just so we can see that box, and let's change its bounds by selecting the green border and dragging it so it's only including the text and it doesn't have a bunch of empty space around it. Once that is done, select the green outline again and drag it by that green outline up to this top left hand corner and drop it there, and click apply. For this one, we want this to occur on both pages, regardless if it's a right or left page. Click the L to R button up here, and it immediately adds that text frame as we put it on this page to that page. Click apply and click close, and look at our first page and notice it now says score just as it does on our Finale export. The last thing we have to do to make this score the same as the other one is actually change the page size. So let's go into our layout options with Control-Shift-L or Command-Shift-L for my Mac users. Let's navigate to page setup, and right at the top we can set our page size. Pick that drop down and let's set it to letter, which is a standard printer size page, and click apply. If we scroll down a little further, we can set the size of all our musical elements. I'm going to go ahead and leave this as the custom size that was set from the Music XML. Let's continue scrolling down, and now we can see page margins. Let's adjust this just so we don't have as much blank space on the left side. Let's make it match all our other margins, which is 12.69. Click enter and click apply. Click enter, and once all of that is done, click apply if you need and click close. We now have a beautiful looking score, all derived from that Music XML file. Realistically, it would only have taken me about 3 to 5 minutes to do all of that, but I'm glad I took a nice 25-minute video to be very thorough and explain everything in extreme detail. If you have questions down in the comments about how I worked on this score or anything I was doing, please ask them, please put requests, and if you have a Music XML file that is having a weird problem, maybe I can use your Music XML file and include that in my next video. The only thing I didn't cover in this video was formatting the parts that are presented to us in this PDF. If you would like me to do that, it would be a short video and I would be happy to make that for you. Just let me know down in the comments. If you want more videos on notation software, composing, arranging, please leave a like and subscribe. My next video will be on drum notation and voice layers. Thanks for watching.